What's up, everybody? Welcome back to week 2 of our Gabe Wootton interview here on Music in the Minor League. We're going to cut through a lot of the intro and just get straight to it. We just have a few podcast things to get out of the way, a little bit of housekeeping, if you will. As always, first, if you like what you hear, subscribe to the podcast, tell a friend. It's the best way to get it going. Second, if you like the bands, the music we discuss, go follow them on social media. Go follow them on your streaming sites. Listen, like, whatever. Was it listen, like, subscribe? I think that's what we're supposed to say. Finally, if you want to see us around town, we got a few shows coming up. The next one is at Ronnie's Ice House doing the EquiSearch benefit that Jeff Appleby puts on for his birthday. Be there. It's free. There'll be raffles, fundraisers, great music, great food from Jeff's Pretty Okay Barbecue. Man, it's going to be a good one. It'll be us, Grifters and Shills, Chris Hardy, Simblem, and many more. Get out there and support EquiSearch. They really do great stuff. On May 7th, we'll be at Black Page Brewing here in Houston from 1:30 to 4:30 as part of their Blues on the Bayou series. And then on May 13th, mark those calendars, Old Quarter Acoustic Cafe with Trish Cramblett. Who knows? You might even see Gabe in the audience at that show. So it kind of fits with the podcast. Tickets are on sale now. Go visit oldquarteracousticcafe.com or check them out on Facebook. And then May 16th, we're heading up to Austin, Texas for a show at the Saxon Pub with Austin Mays. That's going to be a good one as well. And all right, man, we've taken enough of your time. Let's cut it and let's get to the interview, man. This is Gabe. First thing we're going to do is we're going to kick it off with one of our other favorite songs of his called Pretty As You Please. See you around next time. Bye-bye.
Bulldog on the fence line, crosses in the ditch, working for another man. You never get rich, but nights raining in the morning, raining at night. Sometimes I get what's coming, sometimes it ain't right. Sometimes I get what's coming, sometimes it ain't right. Now when I was a child, I was raised up right. It was church on a Sunday and a Wednesday night, but nights whiskey in the morning just to stop the shakes. Whiskey in the evening, that's what it takes. Whiskey in the evening, that's what it takes. Well, there's mesquite in the meadow where the hay used to be. Somebody's gotta cut it, but it won't be me. I got a Windsor engine, I got a full tank of gas, I got a number in my pocket, I got a picture on my desk. I got a number in my pocket, I got a picture on my desk. Well, the bulldog on the fence line, they standing still. Long as I'm breathing, I never will. I got my windows wide open, I got my hand in the breeze. Well, I'll be gone by the morning, pretty as you please. Well, I'll be gone by the morning, pretty as you please. guys. That's the last happy one tonight, you know. So.
All right, so we're back with part 2 here with Gabe Wootton here in the. This is our first episode being recorded in our living room with the mobile unit.
It's working out pretty good so far.
So that way we had beer and cigarette usage available. Not that you should do it, children do not. But we're old and we're close to death.
Leave it to the professionals. Yes,
set in their ways.
So I guess a good thing to move to now is. Like when I met Gabe, he was still up around the College Station area. Then he moved to Galveston, which we covered. But then again, like everyone hassled Gabe forever about like, hey man, where's the record when we're recording some of this stuff? And it was always like, yeah, man, one day.
Yeah.
One day we're going to get to it. But then finally Joel was able, I don't know what happened, if he lost a late night game of poker with Joel. And then all of a sudden it's like, we're recording Gabe live.
Yeah.
We're talking Joel Moore of the Old Quarter.
Yes, Joel Moore at the Old Quarter, man. Took the reins from Rex. 2016, something 15, 16, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, I'd been, like I said, luckily enough to live down the street, kind of. So I was stinking to join up a lot and hanging out with Joel. And I guess he had the idea. He was wanting to start a record label, and of course, this is before the 2.5 years of weirdness or whatever. When everything
hit the fan,
the sky was blue and wide open for any and all endeavors. And the proposition was simple: just play a show. We're going to record it live, and then come up with packaging and put it out. And ultimately, and I'd always flirted with making a record, and I have like a record and a half, almost 2 records that are songs I never play because these are for a record that I'm making, and then just never made the record. And like a dummy, just those songs just sit like in a folder, and I never play them. It's the silliest thing ever. But Joel made it too easy to not do it. He's like,
right.
He's like, right. I was like, wait, do I have to come in? And he's like, no. What if we just like you play a show and we record the whole thing and then cut it up into tracks? And I'm like, okay, fine.
I can do that.
Yeah. And it went, man. It went pretty good. So that was November of 2019. Exactly before everything went silly.
Of course.
Yeah. So I was the inaugural recording for the Old Quarter Records that Joel started. Since then, they've done volume 2 with Heather Little, who is just phenomenal.
Yeah, because it was January 2020. Mm-hmm. We went with one of my coworkers down there, her and her boyfriend, and saw you and Heather and Charlie. No.
Was it Brant?
Brant.
Yeah,
Brant Croucher.
Brant Croucher, yeah.
Brant Croucher. That way I can edit it where it sounds like I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that was one of the ones, like Heather was the one person that like every time, every song had a couple lines where me and my coworker Katie and Kim would all look at each other and be like, damn.
No, dude, it's, and the way, if I had some of the lines that she has, I would handle those things like switchblades and just, you know what I mean? Like, I'd bust somebody with them.
Right.
And she just deals them out like you playing bridge. Like, don't worry about it. Here's this. And it hits you right between the fucking eyes, dude. And
oh, yeah.
And that's, there's no bullshit with her, bro. Like, she's telling it straight from the hip. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
so
right.
there's nothing convoluted. There's nothing, there's no construction there. It's just her belching honesty, man. And it blows my mind, dude. So I did mine in November of 19. I think she ends up cutting hers like November of 20.
Yeah, because we came back. I remember.
Were y'all in on that one or no?
Yeah, like I was a recording engineer for that
with John Stoll and
John did like live video and photos, and then me and Joel recorded A and B setup.
Right.
I think there was some issues with the A setup, so my B track.
Hooray for B! Yeah, right. Yeah,
which is cool because I'm like, it makes me excited. I'm like, dude, yes, like of all my credits of things that we've recorded, I'm like, yeah, dude, but I recorded this Heather Little record.
Oh, absolutely, dude.
Me and Joel made it happen.
And when we did mine, we had the best plans. You know what I mean? And then the night of, when you're in throes of it, sometimes it doesn't always go according to plan. So there had to be a little doctoring done to it. But Grant Wilburn, up in Fort Worth, luckily was able to make heads and tails of my notes about exactly, well, you have to cut this story out because if certain people hear that story, they're going to be really mad, and I don't want to lose sleep over them coming around my house. So I need you to cut, from this millisecond to that millisecond out. So he helped us kind of splice and dice and get it all back together. So I did mine November 19. Heather did hers, I think, November of 20. Mine came out the summer of 20, I guess, which,
everybody was just kind of hanging on for dear life. And, we did tens of ones of numbers and stuff, which is, more than can be, hoped for, I guess.
But now you have a record.
But yeah, so there it is, right? Like, and it's amazing just the notion of, well, here's this moment in time or whatever, and the beauty of and the luxury really of doing it the way we did it with the live record, and it's I forget 18 tracks or something, and there's only like 4 songs, the rest is just me running my mouth, and telling weed eater stories and stuff. But if you go listen to that record, that's exactly what I sound like. It's exactly who I am.
Right. Like that's a true live
and if
performance.
if you are wondering what it's like to come to a Gabe Wootton show, go listen to that record from start to finish, preferably like 1,000 times a month. That'd be good.
On Spotify,
you and
on all your major streaming
100 of your
services.
friends. Yeah.
Live at
So
the
yeah,
Old Quarter.
it's on Spotify, it's on Bandcamp, all the usual suspects. Be sure to go by go follow. I think it's Old Quarter Records on Bandcamp, and that way you'll be privy to upcoming stuff. I think he's working on the 3rd one, so just keep stepping forward, man. So, but that was all Joel. If left up to me, I'd still be bitching and moaning about the 2 records that I have to go back and relearn the songs if I'm ever going.
I feel like we've already established on a previous podcast that Joel is like a really good supporter and presenter of live music.
1,000%, man.
In the scene.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And like we covered ad nauseum, in the first chapter there. If you're going to have people trying to present, songs and ideas and whatnot to people who want to hear those things, then you have to have places for that to happen.
You have to have venues.
You have to have venues like the Old Quarter, and you have to have people running them like Joel and Angela, because it's there's not a lot of you're not going to retire to San Tropez running a folk club,
Well, it's been a trip.
especially if you're not dealing coke out the back, but
As I really was like with Joel and them, I was like, yeah, man, like they've really done different stuff. Like the Rex, if they have anything coming through, like, we were talking about, they have, all these different shows coming through. But then I went back and started, since we're working on the documentary, I went back through the Galveston Daily News and all this, and been assembling like the entire calendar that's since the opening of the Galveston Old Quarter.
96?
Yeah, and I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
Rex was just like, you want to play here? Okay.
Yeah.
I used to love when we emailed him years ago about playing there. It was like, if you want to, nobody comes in on their own.
Right.
It's this. The sound system kind of sucks. Everything's terrible. But if you want to come in, okay, let me know what date for you.
Right.
And we were like, yeah, we still want to come. Okay. And then we'd be like,
Yeah.
But it was just funny how he was like the most, yeah, you don't really want to come here, but okay.
Right. So, well, I mean, if you think about the whole notion of why that bar is there, right? Like, Rex was looking for a place to play.
Yeah.
Right. And he comes around the corner and the Acoustic Cafe is basically folding up shop on the day he stops by to ask for a show. Right. So instead, he buys the joint or rents it or takes it over or whatever.
I'll buy it.
Yeah.
How much is it? I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, instead of just booking a show, I'll just have the place,
You put those chairs back inside.
Yeah. That's right. Like all this stuff on the yard, let's go ahead and put it back in because that conveys with the sell, right? But it's that notion of he just wants a room where he can do his thing at the very least. And then, accidentally everybody else can too,
What a room he found, though.
Are you kidding me, dude? Yeah.
Like how... I don't know how you find a space that sounds like that when it was just a cafe.
Well,
it's
it's always been
acoustic
something.
cafe.
So
It's
yeah,
always
so
been
the
musical.
bar in the back, right? That will never be able to come out of that room, right?
Right.
So it was, it was a bit of a saloon or whatever.
Yeah. That
From
was his
God
deal.
knows
Like,
when, right?
it was already the logo we all associate was the Acoustic Cafe's
Right.
logo.
Right.
And then Rex just came in and put Old Quarter above it and brought his old sign from Houston one
Right.
that someone had, which, considering that Rex didn't even own the Old Quarter in Houston for the last decade.
Right.
The fact that he still had the sign off of
Been
that was
lugging it around.
well, hang it up.
Yeah.
And so he went in, hung that sign up, and then just painted Old Quarter above the Acoustic Cafe logo.
Right.
Which is great because he has never once served food or anything.
Oh no!
Yeah, what a
This is
yeah.
a cafe. Well,
No, that's-
It's a loose term.
But what a room. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, and
There-
everything about it says
Yeah.
it should be a terrible sounding room. It's like, here's this square brick room, and it's going to sound amazing. And you're like,
with
dude, all it's going to be is just
tile on the floor,
echoes
a
and-
wooden ceiling.
And
Yeah.
and everything sounds amazing. Like it's all the junk he hung on the wall.
Probably.
That's
what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
If Rex wasn't a pack rat, it wouldn't be
Probably.
Right,
Sounds
that accidental sound baffling, yeah.
Right.
There was an act in there recently, national touring kind of thing. Used to play in much more sophisticated rooms, probably. And this tour guy was in the back, and he said, "I don't mean to be an asshole, but this room should not sound as good as it does."
Yeah,
Right.
right.
I'm like,
It's
yeah,
real, yeah.
I'm like, man, it's I'd call it whatever, but there's definitely some magic
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
in that room, dude. And then and we talked earlier about how running with the right people and would inspire you to try them harder and be better, and out of like, I don't want to get my toes cut next week because I know they're gonna have some new ones. Well, the same thing happens in that room, man, because there's nowhere to hide in it, right? Like,
Right.
there are no dark shadows. There's no big 600-foot points of view. Like, so if you fuck up, it's right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everybody sees it.
And not to mention, it comes off the back wall right back to you.
Right.
Regardless of stage monitors or not. Like, that room will let you know when you fuck up before the monitors of the audience does.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it really kind of pushes you to do well, right? To do as you should. But then also, it's got a bit of a, it's the hallowed halls, man. And you feel like I'm not going to come in here with some boobaloo ass bullshit. Like, this room deserves better,
Yeah.
than that. So it really, I couldn't be happier. My situation right now that allows me to be in that room 3 nights a week. It's beyond my wildest imagination.
Yeah, because normally every golf course has their golf pro. You're kind of like the singer songwriter pro that hangs of the old quarter.
I'm the
great.
Chippy Henderson of the old
Right,
quarter.
yeah, like-
He's the house singer songwriter.
and that's where people who play like, oh shit, Gabe Wootton's here.
Yeah.
He's seeing me right now.
Oh my God.
So he's like the Chubbs from Happy Hill Gilmore.
Yes, it's like, yeah,
Oh my
Gabe's
God.
the job. But it just really is, because it's just, I don't know, man. It's just a trippy room for me, because I always talked about, we were on tour, the first time we ever went on tour with all of our stuff, me, Hugh, and Nathan. Our first show was in Memphis, Tennessee, and I was like, dude, we gotta go to Sun Records, Sun Studios.
Right.
I'm sorry, Sun Records is in Nashville. Sun Studio is
Get it
in
right,
Memphis.
That's where they make Sun Chips.
And yeah,
No.
they make Sun Chips they make that over in the cafe part.
Right.
And yeah. But and again, I'm saying this as a person who is completely like non-religious or anything like that.
Right.
I don't believe in all of I just felt, dude, walk into that room, like it was weird. And I wasn't even a person who holds like Elvis in high regard or anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who played there where I'm like, dude, like, that was real deal music. And to think about the fact that, like, anyway, all these people played there. But, like, you walked in the room, there was, like, a gravity to it. That,
Absolutely.
Like, I wasn't expecting to feel. Like, I walked in the room and it was like, oh. Like,
Right.
oh. Like, the music has been, sound waves has been bouncing around this room.
Right.
Outside of the time, it was like a refrigeration storage place.
Right.
And then,
yeah, don't worry
same
about
deal.
it. It used to be like a meat locker or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, but we used, like, you can feel it. And then the old quarter is the same way. Like, even when you walk in that room, something just feels different.
Yeah, and I'll say that, like, and not even for someone who was brought up kind of, with the myth of the old quarter. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, yeah.
if you're a 15, 16-year-old kid and somebody lays, Towns Live at the Old Quarter record on you, well, of course, you're going to approach, the old quarter a penitent man or whatever, right?
But I'm with you. I didn't know
With no preconceived
who
notion of
Rex
it.
Bell
Yeah.
was. I didn't know
Right.
who. I mean, I know who Towns Van Zandt was, but
Right.
I was not like in that area. And just it feels very different.
Even when I
Absolutely.
was young, I knew that the old quarter that Towns played in was in Houston.
separate- yeah.
And this was
Right.
like the second version. But again, the first time
Franchise.
we walked in there, and it was just, like even
Yeah.
Joel said, I walked in this room and it was just like, it was like playing with the hates, like our
Yeah.
friend RJ had rented out for like a punk rock show, and he's like, it just felt different. Like this
Yeah.
was like something happened in this room.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, the same notion of, like we talked about, like, music, the magnet and the iron filings thing, right? Like it's not even some conscious notion of, you don't like something just because you think you're supposed to like it. I mean, I guess some folks do, but I don't have time to fart with that shit. But there's some other thing, right?
Right.
And however contrived or whatever that sounds, that's fine. But I'm telling you, there's a gravity to it. There's a polarity to it, and maybe that's to blame for all of us
It's
not
the-
being
it's the-
not being
That's how
loan
we all got
officers.
here.
I don't know.
It's the Northern Lights, man. It's like this
Yeah.
natural
Yeah,
phenomenon.
man. Yeah,
that
man.
Some magnetic thing is right there. in
Here's
that
something
room.
a lot of people don't know about the old quarter. And when you flush the commode, instead of going clockwise, right, it doesn't go at all.
It's a really old building.
That it is.
That's a joke.
I just love that when you
God.
like to this day, because I remember like going and playing shows when I was a kid, like 16, playing old quarter. But I just love that the sink in the men's bathroom, it doesn't fully shut off.
No.
You have to find the sweet spot where it turns off.
Those are very rare in the plumbing trades. Those are called 300-degree knobs. The stops are gone. So if you visit the old quarter, please be sure to turn the knob to the appropriate position so the water just stops moving. You'll know when the water stops moving because there'll be no more water coming out of the faucet.
Exactly.
And sometimes the hot's on a little bit.
Oh,
so you
yeah,
have to do
yeah.
both. It's like tuning both knobs.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
dude.
It's like doing an old radio where you're like, and there.
Tune in Tokyo.
However, people are generally not paying attention to that kind of thing and maybe what's going on stage. So did were you always just
The way I am?
play by
Yeah.
yourself, singer-songwriter, or
Man,
did you play in bands?
The way I started playing guitar and stuff was a very sort of like, shameful deal, right? Like I didn't want to take lessons or whatever. Kind of part of me was like, fuck lessons or whatever. And part of me was like, I don't think I would understand it. You know what I mean? And so I had Bigger Piece of Sky, that Robert O'Keefe record.
Yeah.
And so somebody showed me you could like get online and there'd be a page and it would show you all the chords above the words, right? Like when to change chords and stuff.
Oh, the Olga, man.
Yeah. And so I'm like, well, right on. C, F, and G, and E, little M, right on. What does that mean? Even not even know what that even means. And I'd stare at the guitar for a minute and be like, there aren't any letters on this thing. I don't understand, So then I figured out how to make chords and stuff. So I would just sit, in my room. Like I said, I was kind of between options at the moment and just learned to play. And then somebody told me about capos, and it
whole
was
world
wide
opened up
open.
to you.
Yeah, it was wide open to me.
Keys other than G.
Yeah,
Amazing.
but so being that I was very aware of my limited like musical theory knowledge, right? Anytime I would try to play with other people, it would just be just a clusterfuck. You know what I mean? Because I'd be
Yeah.
like, it kind of goes like this, and then do that for a little while, and then you go like this. You know what I mean? And anybody which was most everybody that was a better musician than I was, would in short order lose interest and be like, well, I don't even, whatever, and walk away.
I don't know why this surprises me.
But so what I figured out too, playing the kind of shows I started off playing, everything is easily divisible by one, and so if you had like a little 3-piece band or something, like the math gets messy on like a $50 guarantee. You know what I mean? So
It's true.
True.
and rarely did I ever really know if I was going to be able to be where I was supposed to be at the appointed time, much less if I knew two other assholes that could pull off the same maneuver. You know what I mean?
my
So
God.
it was just easier, he who goes fastest goes alone or whatever. So,
Years ago, I interviewed,
long answer, no.
I interviewed Man or Astro Man. They come back as a 3-piece, and that was their thing. It's like the three of us. It's Mercedes-Benz, Mercedes-Benz, Mercedes-Benz.
Right.
We got back to a 4-piece. It's Toyota Corolla, Toyota Corolla,
Right.
Toyota Corolla, Toyota
Right,
Corolla.
right.
He's like, so we keep it 3. We can do just as much noise with the 3
That's
of us.
it, dude. That's it, dude. Yeah.
Me by myself, like that $100
That's it, dude.
covers
all
like my
mine.
groceries
That's it.
for the week. When
Well-
it's $30 a piece, it's like, oh, cool.
Well, and not to mention, I was watching, some of my contemporaries were putting bands together. And I was always just super excited for them and just would, champion them and cheer them on. But you also got to, free of charge, see, just the dysfunction,
Yeah, having a band.
of 4 assholes in a van with no money, like.
It's just 3 of us. There's just 3 of us.
Well, I was talking about some other assholes, not
okay.
you, not you assholes. Yeah, yeah.
And plus, like the other night, with Broken Spokes, when you're by yourself, we need a solo opener. It's like, I haven't got a band yet.
That's it,
I'll
dude.
do it.
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
your solo opener.
No one can stand me enough to be in a band with me, so I'm a singer-songwriter,
I'm learning so much about you today.
Yeah, I was in a punk band for a little bit, like most guys playing Americana. We played one show and we only had one song. The song was called White Weasel, and then in parentheses, Just You Wait. And the band was called Varmint Kong, and it was about this white weasel that showed up, and then we kicked all of our shit over and walked off.
I don't even believe you.
We have 2 records out though.
I don't believe
Both
you.
versions.
There's a radio edit and a.
I feel like I'm
no.
sitting between my father and my father.
It's just
I don't believe you.
I love if you ever read the stuff about the early days of like the Flaming Lips, like Wayne Coyne talked about, it's like we had 2 songs, and we could play the Batman theme, like the da da da, and he's like, so our first show we played our first 2 songs, people wanted or we played our 3 songs, he goes, and we stretched them out, they were all just 3-piece, like guitar loud, like Butthole Surfers kind of stuff. And it's like encore. It's like, so we came out, we played the Batman theme again because that was what we had the most fun playing.
Yeah. I can always tell, like we've moved to this place where it's like we were talking earlier about how, the alt country thing has become like this Americana thing now. And they have, there's like, I don't know, 6 or 7 different charts, measuring the success of these Americana songs and records, which is, important. And there's a lot of people flocking kind of to, this asterisk category or whatever, right? I can always tell like who in the scene kind of came up through like the singer-songwriter ranks and who was like in a new metal punk band up until about 2 years ago. Because the dudes that come up through like the songwriter scene or whatever, they don't hardly ever bitch about like a 3-hour show. And all the punk dudes are like, what? Hour and a half? Oh God. Acoustic by myself? Oh God. And I'm like, grow the fuck up, you titty babies. Like, at least it's not 5 hours like in the sun. Are you kidding me? Right? Like, that was the norm.
It was like, you'll give me free beer for 3 hours. All I gotta do is play some songs.
Are you sure you only want me to play for 3 hours? Like I can do like 7.
I came up through the the more rock stuff, but it was like, cool, man. We just get to hang out. That last hour is probably gonna be the same as the first.
Just flip the tape over.
It'll be a little
as long
slower,
as you don't tell anybody,
right?
Like
12 beers in, but this is the slow, talking blues version of the songs you heard the first set.
So I'm always I shouldn't be, but I'm always kind of a little surprised that folks that stake their claim on making their bones playing these live shows and being able to do all this and that, and then they're stymied by a mere hour and a half solo set. That's amazing to me. It's amazing to me.
We just call those, I didn't.
90 minutes, man.
I very much just like,
That's
hey,
right?
I'm hanging out with a musician and now I'm in a band. I didn't come from this at all. So I used to just call it when we would get like a 4-hour gig, it was just practice.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's practice. We're just going to sit there and practice everything we know.
I think like really enjoying what you're doing and then, thinking you should be doing something else.
Right.
Well, if you think you're supposed to be doing something else, go do something else. You know what I mean?
So that's why you always need that second guy, though. Because like with Health, it's like, hey, man, it's going to be like his 12 measure solo. Get ready. And it's just 4 minutes later, still just picking away,
Put him to work.
Get you about 2 minutes of this one, son. Yeah. No, that's absolutely.
Oh, goodness.
Absolutely.
Knock that off. That's why a friend of ours posted a thing the other day where she's like, okay, we really did not need like the 5-minute solo in this song.
Yes,
and I was
we
like,
did.
man, you gotta cut that 4-hour gig down to size.
Yeah.
She's like, it was Brown Eyed Girl. We don't need it.
Yeah.
I'm like, is there even a solo in that song?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a solo.
There is now.
Right. It does exist.
This is the reimagining. This is, I always felt that like fucking American Pie didn't cover all the appropriate ground. Like I went ahead and added a few
5
new
more
verses.
minutes to
Yeah. Got a bridge in there now. Like it's really, really something.
Got a keychain.
So we started doing those gospel songs with you instead of just, we're going to do verses 2 and 3.
Oh, man.
We're going to do all 7 verses and just knock out half that set.
We're doing all
Well,
8
and
of
then
Amazing
you can
Grace.
do like the real revival notion, modulate that son of a bitch and just start it over.
True.
No.
Next verse, same as the first. Oh, dig. Here we go.
Ah, man, I really ate.
Oh,
So,
dude.
did I hear you say that you have like 2 or so albums worth of stuff in the can that you never play?
Man, there's a record called Move Me, which that was a lie earlier. I do sometimes play that Move Me song. Been a while, but it's still in there somewhere rattling around. So yeah, I have this record called Move Me that's written, and I know what I want it to look like, and the whole 9 yards, and just never got around to doing it. A bunch of reasons, but mostly just because I'm lazy. But well, and that thing kind of took shape and came to life back before the notion of like crowdfunding or whatever, right? And so then you start poking around about how much it costs to like put a decent record together, and you're like, well, that's just not going to happen until I, get my money right or whatever. And then, you move away from something that was it kind of all came together pretty short. Like I probably wrote the whole thing, half a year or something. And then didn't really look at it again for like 2 or 3 years. Well, then you're kind of past it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And it kind of feels not dishonest, but disingenuous to kind of go back and try to live in those songs again. And I know that, if mechanisms had been in place and what you're supposed to do and what has been done mostly is you record the thing when it comes out and then it's out and then you go do whatever. You move past it naturally or whatever. And it's always surprised me, like the more involved you get in playing and doing and stuff and moving around, and the more your name gets kind of talked about, you kind of end up in these different little clubs or whatever. And you talk with some guys that have been doing it a long time, and you go, man, that one song that's probably a 30-year-old song, which is a Mount Rushmore song in your mind.
Yeah.
But to them, that's just something they did that one summer when they had a record due. You know what I mean? And not to say that they don't care about, what they do or whatever, but it's just the way that works. And for some reason, I've always had this idea of that any song I play, it shouldn't be filler, right? Like it should be meat and, a little bit of crust, but not mostly crust and so very little meat, And to that end, any song that's not like present in my mind, then it's not there, And so it kind of moves to the back of the list.
I mean, I'm sure you're still writing.
Gets a little busy. Life gets funny,
busy.
and yeah. And so now that I'm talking about those old songs, I'm like, well, shit, I could just go relearn those old songs.
Hey, sometimes
After that high-handed diatribe about whatever, you know what I mean?
Sometimes we go through and find all kinds of stuff that we forgot about, or
well, and they're all pieces of you, right? Like at some point, right? And so of a 20-year-old you or a 40-year-old you or whatever, but they're all authentic pieces, right? And so maybe it's just revisit with a different set of eyes and a different mind on that same notion. And maybe they're fine as they are. Maybe they need a little updating. Maybe they need a little monkey wrenching or whatever. But yeah, and I'm a firm believer in there's kind of really only like 1 or 2 songs anyway. You know what I mean? And you're always trying to write, and not to put anybody on blast. I don't know, like if it works for you, that's fine. But that thing about like the song a day challenges and stuff, that were going around, and especially during the weirdness, everybody's like trying to stay busy. Hats off if you can write 365 full ass songs.
Yeah,
every day.
The quality cannot be great.
No. And what ends up happening is there's really only like 2 songs there, and you just keep like poking at it from different angles. Right. You know what I mean?
It's just practice.
Yeah, me and Benj do that. Like, hey man, we're gonna do this like as a personal challenge, like one song a week.
That's still pushing it.
And then the same deal was where I'll go back now and be like, ooh, that verse was good. And then week 7, this verse was good. So out of that, I mean, we'd only ever do it like 10 weeks and be like, tired, like
forget you were supposed to do it.
But then it's out of that 10 weeks, it's like, okay, I got one song.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like this all comes together.
Or you realize that like one entire song was really just a bridge for that other song. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. This thing never really worked. Well, because it's not a song, dummy. It's just a bridge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's amazing out of all that. It's like, okay, I got one.
But it's all just your brain working it out. You know what I mean? Like,
we're all just piecing it together, folks.
Well, it's like a dream. Like, what is a dream? Like, a dream is something you're worried about, or just your brain just like clearing old files or whatever the hell it is, right? Like, very rarely is your dream like, here are the next 7 lottery numbers. You know what I mean? Like something useful.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of like when you wipe off the chalkboard, but you can still see them ghosts or whatever was written there before, right? You know what I mean? Like it's just shit that doesn't really make sense until you can back away from it.
Chalkboards were something from like way back in the day. Kids now have whiteboards. Yeah.
Yes.
Kids now have iPads.
Before dry erase, there was chalk erase. Yeah. Jesus Christ, you feel like a dinosaur sometimes, don't you?
It's crazy, man.
But so it's the same process, and I think that's on the like songwriting stuff. That's the most important thing you can do. The most important thing I think you can do as a songwriter is fucking edit.
Yeah.
Right.
There's something
multiple times.
Yes, constantly, right? Like there's something to putting the work in and putting pen to paper. Absolutely, right?
But I think that's also in every artistic endeavor. It's all about that
revising.
Sure,
because as someone who comes from the visual art background as well, like you can make 100 paintings, right?
Sure.
But there may only be like 5 to 10 that are really worth a damn.
Right.
But it's up to you as the artist to be able to go back and look at it and say, that doesn't work, this does work. And the same thing with a song. It's like, you may not need 4 verses.
Oh, yeah.
You may only need 2 verses and a really good bridge.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool too.
That's it.
But again, it's up to us as creatives to figure it out.
I think that's the tipping point, right?
Right.
Because otherwise, it's just throwing everything at the wall,
Right.
Right,
See what sticks.
Right,
And that's what pop music is, and that's a hot mess. So
man. And I'm telling you, not to be like an old scared old man or whatever, shouting down thunderclouds or whatever, but I have my suspicions that songs that are making the rounds right now, it really helps to kind of like read the lyrics, like see them on a page in front of you, right? Right. I'm a firm believer that a lot of this shit's being handcrafted by fucking robots as we speak.
Oh, I don't doubt it. 100%. Yeah, AI.
Because it is just some jibber jab ass word salad.
Yeah.
And each word independently like invokes some emotion.
Right.
All the words together make zero fucking sense.
Well,
Exactly.
is it no coincidence that we no longer get like actual lyric sheets with albums anymore?
No.
Like you don't see that anymore.
No.
They don't want you actually seeing what they're saying.
I think they're making up words too, like pumperdunkle. And you're like, well, what does that even mean?
I don't know, but I want to dance to a song called
Looks good. Looks good on a koozie. You know what I mean?
It look great on a koozie.
Fucking hell,
Shake
man.
that pumperdunkle.
There it is.
Pumperdunkle, pump in that. Pump.
Word for a third, man. We're on it now, dude.
We're solving the world's problems right now.
Plus, we could start like a chain of restaurants called Pumperdunkles.
Oh, dude.
Come on down to Pumperdunkles for half off dunkles and a quarter off pumpers. Remember, Tuesdays is Pumperdunkle, half off Thursdays.
Don't forget Double Dunker Wednesdays.
I feel like this would be a German food restaurant.
Oh, definitely.
Free hats Mums Days.
Oh God!
But I think what's good about it. I mean, if you really go back, and again, I keep bringing this dude up all the time, but like I'm a huge fan of this band, the Melvins, and Buzz Osborne's
you don't say.
Very opinion. I know everyone who listens like he brings that dude up every episode, but he's always talking about there's no
Who the fuck is Melvin?
there's no golden age of anything.
No.
And he's like, you go back, he's like, look at any date and pull up what the top 10 songs were, and they're trash.
They're crap.
And he's like, you go through, he goes, we think the 70s were great because all that's left that people push in your face is the best.
Yeah.
He's like, but it was, none of those songs were big. None of those bands were top 10 bands.
Those are like 0.5% of the songs
Hokey
ever
Pokey
created.
was like number one in 71. It wasn't like
Mozart has been selling steady for fucking centuries. You know what I mean? Like, goddamn.
And it's kind of that point where it's like, yeah, it's always been the stuff that most people, and even like, was it Tyler Mann Co. does Cocaine and Rhinestones, like
shit on your mom's chest or whatever.
Yeah. He's the one who, David Allan Coe's son. They played with him forever. And that was his big thing. He's like, your favorite band, the most high selling band, still sells to about 1 out of 10,000 people.
Maybe, yeah.
If they come to your town and, like here in Houston, and that you pull in 10,000 people, well, cool. There was 4.8 million. 3 million other people
doing something
did not
else.
give a shit about your band.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And that's if you're Coldplay or the whoever else is big.
Well, and that's what's so crazy too is like if you think about the last 10 years of like pop music, one of like the names you kind of always hear is the band Imagine Dragons, right? That's just like this
Imagine
thing.
Dragons.
I know, right? That's a built-in joke right there. But what's so funny about it is if you look at their like Billboard rankings, I don't think they've had a number one single.
No.
But you hear their music everywhere.
Yeah.
And so innately you're like, they have to have it. And I think last time I checked, they may have changed. They didn't have a number one single. And it blows your mind because you hear it everywhere. So you innately think, oh, it's got to be the number one. It's not.
Well, success means, yeah.
Right.
No, man,
It doesn't.
It's kind of the same deal. I mean, it's the
So jacked.
are you a sociopath who writes like hateful songs about your boyfriend that you dated who's also a celebrity? Cool, then you can sell out Reliant Stadium.
Do not say that name.
Oh, dude, I don't care what the Swifties going to come after, bro. Good not to buy like
Probably.
a $5 ticket to come. You're terrible.
I'm okay with that.
I'm not.
I just never imagined, and maybe that's my own naivete or whatever, that so many people would be able to relate to getting dumped by
Jake Gyllenhaal.
yeah, that guy.
It's, man, we love that drama. It's basically the music version of like the
TMZ?
Real
Of the
Housewives
National Enquirer.
whatever. This,
No, it really is.
It's like talk about. I mean, maybe I'm being hard. Maybe Taylor Swift's visionary.
No.
It was like, how can I distill
she's
celebrity news into a musical format that fills a football
You remember
stadium?
my grandma used to read the magazines, you know, and it'd be like, you know, fucking aliens stole the Pope, and y'all don't even know. Like those ones.
Right.
Yeah, the ones by the checkout in the grocery
Bad
store,
Boy
right?
Forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bad Boy-
Elvis is controlling the weather from beyond the grave, you know, shit like that. But then there was the other ones where it was like, you know, oh Lord, here's, you know, this actress got a new pair of socks. What do we think about that? Or whatever.
Us Weekly.
So
Yes.
yeah, and like in the back there was a deal, and it say something like, famous people, they just like us. They buy groceries. They take a shit. They do all this stuff. And I think that's the whole secret to her, right? Like, it's just, and not to badmouth her. I hope she's doing exactly what she wants to do. And if that's the case, fantastic. But it all feels a bit contrived, and all feels a bit like orchestrated to be like, she like a singing Oprah. You know, she's like everybody's fucking friend.
I think
because
she
she's
just-
getting dumped by millionaires. I don't
think
get
she
it,
just
man.
caught up in the. She just got caught up in the machine when she was like 14.
Oh, it was
Like-
Well,
it
right
was-
on.
That's
I have-
exactly what
I
it
have
is.
rich
And so
parents
she
who
has
bought
continued-
this and
yeah.
made this happen.
And I
I've
don't-
got great
That's all it is.
ghostwriters who write all my songs.
Yeah, and
with
I
me.
don't begrudge her any of that, because look, man,
I do.
anybody listen, anybody that's out rolling around right now in a fucking tour bus did not get there through hard work.
Oh no.
I promise you that. Right?
Yeah, I was-
Anybody that's rolling around right now, Cadillac style, somewhere somebody went, look, man, go do your thing. Don't you worry about your gas money. Don't you worry about needing a motel. Don't you worry about if your fucking transmission dumps out in fucking Colorado. Here's a card or here's a number to call, and you got this. Go play for nothing for fucking 10 years.
Yeah.
You want to be on a festival? Give me the guy's number. I'll buy you a spot. Like, that's how all that shit happens. And that's fine, dude. That's fine. You know, the best golfer isn't always the guy giving golf lessons at the country club.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I do not begrudge homegirl one bit for whatever it is she's doing, right? But I will say, do not tell me about how evocative her songs can be and how they capture emotion like no one else when John Prine got Unwed Fathers floating around out there. Go fuck yourself. That's a Mount Rushmore song.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm alone in that. I don't think that's sentimentality. I don't think that's
Well, no, I
merely my
definitely think
opinion.
that she just appeals to people who have a certain emotional immaturity.
Why do people think Irish waterfalls smell clean?
Because the Irish never quit.
And there are exactly 0 waterfalls in Ireland.
That's amazing, too, yeah.
That's not what Irish Spring told me.
Right. Everything I know about Ireland, I learned from Irish Spring.
Should I sue
Soap
them like the
smells
guy who sued-
good if you cut it with a knife.
The guy who sued Buffalo Wild
I tried that
Wings?
and I cut my finger. Like I'm so,
Turns out soap is slippery, huh?
it is, especially when you're in the shower with it.
The guy at the oil change shop still shows you your dipstick, and you're like, "But wait, that's not even my dipstick. That's some other card." He's like, "Well, it's the one we show people." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, this is your air filter.
like I think the thing that feels completely disingenuous to me isn't her art; it's the way her art's presented, and it's a commodity.
Right. I don't think she has a whole lot of control over that.
No, I think
Well,
she, at this point,
and look, I'm not attacking her. And when I say, you know, her, I'm talking about the 500 employee entity that is her.
Well, and
Right?
I think you make that choice. Like that okay,
Yes,
this is the
absolutely.
path that I'm going to take.
Absolutely.
Good for you.
Absolutely.
Kim's being defensive because she still listens to Taylor Swift to this day.
Dude,
Yeah, just laugh it
I
off.
had a good
I
cry
listen to
coming
a
over
lot
to
of
Fred
things.
Hartman, listening to, you know, what's her one? Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Like, that's a joke. That's one of them traps.
Yeah. I just, I listen to everything.
Absolutely.
But we've had consistent conversations before about how that is not a path that we would take. That is not something we want to get anywhere near.
Well, how much are they offering?
No.
Right,
I don't
I'm glad there are
care.
people who are willing to get on that treadmill.
You offer me like $500 million over 10 years? You better kiss my ass if I don't take that money check. You shitting me?
See, I'm
Because I'll have enough money I can live with myself. You know what I mean?
right. No, yeah.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I mean? And
most
look,
of
I'll
the
put a
people-
hat on and go down to Oak Quarter and play the open mic night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most of the people we know, we were talking about like that. Like we brought this up. I think we were talking about practice the other day. It kind of goes along those lines. And other things where now that we're in the middle of South by Southwest, where NPR did the thing last year about how they're fighting to get people paid. And like, oh, people are out touring and bands are out doing this. And they're like, So then they brought in a professional who's like economist who's like, well, most bands that are out touring right now come from independently wealthy families.
Right.
Yes.
Like you're not having the blue collar dude who's like, oh, I can afford to get in my car. There are people who still do it. And they live out of their like 1995 Toyota that's, by some miracle still running. And they're living with a guitar and they're sleeping in the front seat every night. It's like, yeah, it's romantic, but it's not sustainable.
Yeah, the older you get, the less sustainable that shit is.
But the kid who, went to college and his parents bought him like a
Cadillacs.
Yeah, the
Sprinter van or whatever.
The Sprinter van and did all that. It's like, yeah, I mean, we know people who had adult jobs who are able to buy all that stuff and like, fuck it, man, we've done straight jobs for 20 years.
Right.
And now we're going to do this for a few years and they've pulled it off. But still, it's like we're playing every night in any dive bar that will let us set up and play music. And and it's like those people exist, but by and large, you're getting music. All these startup bands that are out playing these songs about. I kept looking earlier, I couldn't find. There was a 2Cal lyric when about the whole dressing up in your grandfather's clothes because poverty's only what's the line? It's only funny if it's something you've never something you've never dealt with.
Yeah.
Poverty's only funny, or something worth cosplaying if you've never.
Well, I mean, think about back to the day, right? Like the whole punk aesthetic of combat boots and old military fatigues and shit. Well, that happened because America just got off of a never-ending land war in South Asia.
Yeah,
and the market was flooded with overindulged government contracts for fatigues and footwear and whatnot that they no longer needed, that everybody already gotten rich off of. So you didn't see what they call them military surplus stores.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah, Colonel
Bubby's, man,
right? All that shit pops up because there are warehouses full of olive drab and camouflage pants and jackets and black boots and hats and the whole 9 yards. Well, fuck it. It's got to go somewhere. So they're buying that shit by the pound, right? And then selling it thrift stores and surplus stores or whatever. So what the CBGB's, right? What the movie showed, the man had the fleas and shit.
Yeah.
So he went and bought the jump boots to keep the fleas off of him. Next thing you know, every fucking punk in town is wearing jump boots.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of it's
because you go get you a pair of jump boots for $10.
Right.
And they last forever, and they're good for kicking teeth in or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
So that's the notion of like how something becomes, and then now, well, if you're going to dress punk for Halloween, you have to have some jump boots.
Yep.
And military fatigues and a ripped shirt. Well, you had a ripped shirt because you was living as a punk, not I'm a punk, I need to go get a ripped shirt.
Right,
you know what I mean? Who beget what, you know what I mean?
Right. Or people running around their torn up jeans they bought off the rack that way because all the other people, all the working class folks have them, they look cool.
Yeah. Right, but I remember I had like a favorite pair of Levi jeans and, wore them so much they finally got a hole in them and I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, no, I got to get rid of them.
Now you got to start all over.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm a Wrangler dude, man, so that means like you get them dudes that are like blue-purple.
Yes, and you sweated them, they turn your legs purple.
Oh, and they rip you inside up, man, because goddamn it's like wearing sandpaper. Until like finally 2 years into it,
yes,
them dudes are like, oh, they ride on
like a glove, like a leather glove.
And then you eat too much pizza, and then you squat and blow them out, and you got to start all over again.
That actually happened on the way here today.
True stories.
I had to change blue jeans. I went to get the truck, and I had them too low, and I ripped the seam, and I was like, damn,
pow, that's it.
It's been a rough day.
That's an argument about authenticity and shit. Look, here's the deal. What the man say is like the arts have always had one foot in the grave and the other firmly set in commerce or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And what the other man say, it's not knowing how to paint, it's knowing what you want to paint, right? So then it's intention, right? And it's not really how others perceive it as much as what you intended. What did you intend? Did you intend to go out and make money? And it was either real estate investment or performance of music.
Right.
Because there are those that think of it that way, right?
Right.
As much as I disagree with organized religion, I think of it as you ever have like I had like a shitbag uncle that was hooked on some dope and stuff, but he was a preacher. And everybody always excused everything he did because he had heard the calling. Those are called air quotes. Heard the calling, right? And that's the way people used to talk about, some of these dudes in the South that were going to be preachers. They heard the calling. Well, once they heard the calling, there was nothing to be done except let them go preach or whatever, right? Well, they going to stay at their mama's. They going to drive the dead grandma's car, whatever, because they got no money because they preaching, but they really just living off everybody else, right? Well, I'm the same way with music, in as much I'm living off everybody else. But two, like, I've heard the calling, you know what I mean? Like, I work some other jobs, and I got to work bullshit jobs because if it's some job that I have to actually commit myself to, well, I'm unhappy because I'd rather be playing music. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I'll go, I've done every job you could think of probably, except for I've never been a heart surgeon. If anybody's looking for like a if there's like an entry level heart surgeon position, contact me at
You're right by UTMB.
wannabeheartdoc@hotmail.com and sign me up.
You are.
But I'll work, I'll go work day jobs like labor jobs or whatever, because I can go lift stuff, whore my back out, and I don't have to use my brain. And the whole time my brain could be like thinking about songs and shit.
Right.
Because what I really want to be doing is playing songs.
Well, yeah,
Because I didn't heard the calling.
So like the record we have on the wall here from Joey Kinajas, the one song, the "Find What You Love and Let It Kill You, Boy."
That's it.
And that's it. Talking about
That's
love
it.
and music. It's like,
That's it,
find what
dude.
you love and let it kill you.
Yeah, man.
And that's what we're doing.
That's it.
All right, man. One
Thank you,
last
guys.
thing before
Yeah, man.
we go. I know that was a great way to end, but I just want to touch on this. So I want to know the story of how the Broken Spokes ended up doing when Love Ain't Around.
Well, man, so talking about like College Station back in the days, Brent McClennan was part of that. Yeah, he was a year or two behind a bunch of us, but he was right there in the mix. And I think the first time I ever met Brent was at Zapato's, and I'm pretty sure we talked shit to each other like right off the bat. And I knew I loved his ass. I was like, man, he's all right. Like he give as good as he got, and fucking wasn't worried about any of it, man. I think he caught me humming like Birthday Pony by Fugazi, like in the bathroom or something, and he came in right, fucking waiting room or something. So I was like, what the fuck, you into that shit too? So we started talking about punk songs and shit. And as you move through life, sometimes you keep bumping into people, and it was like that with Brent. I wouldn't see him for a couple of 3 months, and I'd be somewhere else totally unrelated, and I bump into him. I'm like, well, you that guy we talking about Fugazi the other day. Oh yeah. And so for you knew it, I'm like, man, fuck this, let's just hang out and drink beer, man. So we kind of became fast friends. And then fast forward, shit, man, whenever that was that the Spokes started getting together, man. Some of my greatest fun, man, has been we used to go. I'd open up for them a lot, and so I'd go play with them at like D&W Lounge and shit, and it was just fantastic, man, fantastic. And so I'd do my normal set, which was half-ass blues songs, half-ass, country songs, half-ass, whatever songs. And Love Ain't Around was just a song that I was playing. I really enjoyed it, and I was playing it. And came time for them to put a record together, and they were doing a lot of standards, and just kind of, I think, hanging their flag out that, hey, we're a serious, traditional country band.
Yeah.
And kind of, they were putting that flag out that they were a traditional, serious country band, right? We'll leave it at that. And for them to, A, take the time to learn the song, and B, decide it was right enough to like set right next to, standards and classics. Well, shit, easy peasy for me to decide to let that happen, man. That was a high honor for me, so I like to think that even if Brent and I, hated each other, that he'd be like, I hate Gabe Wootton, but goddamn, that's a good song. We gonna cut it anyway. Right. But there might be a little bit of like half-ass nepotism in there. I don't know, man. So, but yeah, man, I'm so proud of them. And Brent's one of those guys that, he puts his mind to something, look out, because he's going to do it, man. And I believe they have. He and Josh Artol have just kind of put their heads down and forged their own path. And I couldn't be prouder of them.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about him forever, and I'm bad about almost like contrarian, where it's like, you gotta see this band, like they're my friends of mine, because there's always that fear. It's like, man, I like Gabe, dude. I don't want to go see his buddy's band and be like,
hey, man, I've had two
what'd you
roommates.
think about them?
I've had two roommates write fiction novels while I'm living with them. You know what I mean? And they're like, well, it's done. I want you to read it.
Oh.
I have never read either one of them because I'm like, dude, I like you too much.
Right.
It's
to
like,
even risk, like, if you're a shitty writer, then I don't want nothing to do with you. Right. And I like you too much to know if you are or not. You know, so
yeah, that's right.
same
Like,
kind of thing.
What do you think of my buddy's band? It's like, there was, man, that C chord they hit.
There was a lot of parking at that venue.
What? Access right to the front. It was great.
So it's always like, and then, just, that one night, I guess we just couldn't avoid it. Came down and was like, well, they're playing the old quarter. Right. We'll go in. I was like, oh, dude, like,
they're really good.
So, like, when I was in college, we used to go Satellite and see the Hollisters all the time. Same deal, old school country.
Yes.
Just killed.
Yes.
And
yes.
we'd be there for all three sets, just soaking it in.
Yes.
Like, just,
yes.
I mean, I need a Telecaster because that dude's killer guitar.
Right.
Still can't play can't play actual. I can play a Telecaster, but I can't play Telecaster.
Yeah.
So, but it was like, fuck. And then, seeing them, I was like, there was this hole in my heart, and they filled it again.
I'm telling you, dude.
And I was like, God damn, they were good. Like, that was...
Yeah.
Like, I missed that because I used to love... Like, I was going out and seeing, like, oh, man, we're going to go see, like, No Effects, and we're going to go see, like, Fugazi's playing next week. It's like, but then the Hollisters are playing, and
Yeah.
I got to go see this country band. And it's
Yeah.
like, you're going to see who?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
That's right. That's right.
I'm going to go to this punk show at Rudyard's, and then I'm going to go watch the last 2 sets of the Hollisters over at Satellite.
Yeah.
That's why my night's going.
That's like a sandwich and chips.
Right. And it's
Yeah.
like, that was just a huge band. Then when they saw them, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that was it. That filled this hole that I didn't even really
That's
know
right.
was
dude.
there.
It's, and I think that's what they're doing a lot. Hey, look, and not to blame it on timing or whatever. Like those guys are sharp and
Oh yeah, they're all players. Man.
it's slick, dude. It's slick, and it's amazing how because that's the kind of the bands I grew up on. The bands I would go see. East Texas didn't have like a very heavy punk scene.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, right? I think before punk scenes, you kind of need like indoor plumbing and
Right.
stuff like that. So, like bands you saw, we went to a lot of bluegrass shows, and so it was like the usual bluegrass stuff, and then to be like Pentecostal family vocal groups, so like these big amazing harmonies and stuff, and then just like banjo, mandolin, bluegrass stuff. And then if you saw another band, it was going to be like a country band, and it'd be Jerry and his Midnight River Boys or whatever, and they'd be doing Johnny Lee Looking for Love and all that kind of shit. But it would be like a country band, right? And they'd have a guy playing pedal steel or whatever. And there's a whole notion of that's like it is what it is, but you still got to be good enough or whatever, right? At some point, and I kind of blame it on like the Texas country stuff or whatever, country bands became more like, I don't know, rock shows in that nobody danced. Like people go to the shows and then they just kind of stand there.
Right.
Yeah.
Where like
I've
used to,
noticed that.
if you went and somebody was playing like, fucking Silver Wings, boy, you start kind of moving your own hands and you're looking like, who's going to dance with me? Because you go there to dance.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? It was like a whole thing. And at some point I feel like, I don't know if it's like a generational thing or a cultural thing or what, but people quit dancing at supposed country shows. Well, then what do? Well, you take, I guess, a selfie for Instagram or whatever. And so it's rad to go like see the Broken Spokes do their thing, because even if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, like, your Brazoria and Harris County genetics start moving your feet around and you're like, I got to try to dance even if I don't know how. I ain't danced. Nobody in my family danced in 30 years, but here I go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they are playing that dance stuff, boy.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. I love it.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening to this one. Hopefully you listened to both parts of Gabe's interview. Man, we were really excited to get this in, and we had so much fun with it. We hope you had fun, too. If you like what you heard, please share the podcast with a friend. That's the best way for us to reach new listeners. Y'all know that by now. If you enjoyed the band featured, which is Gabe in this case, please follow him everywhere you can online and on your streaming service of choice. Highly recommend checking out his Instagram. Really funny stuff. And, you get to find out about all the shows, too, which is a bonus. We're going to leave you with the Broken Spokes version of Gabe's song, When Love Ain't Around. Hope you have a great day, great week, and we'll see you next week with whoever. We haven't decided yet. We don't know. Ooh. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
That's the way it goes. Love ain't around. The minute you're up, next you're down. All your blue skies turn to gray whenever love is gone away. Whenever love ain't around. That's the way it goes. Love ain't around. All your dreams come crashing down. Every minute of every day feels like a river. Love's gone away. Whenever love ain't around. love ain't